Alright, I know it's shocking. We're back to plant some more seeds, y'all. Holy crap. Another 300 or 300 plus are going into the grow room after this is done. So we are filling our tray with pre-sifted Vermont compost, making sure that every hole gets filled up and is all wonderful and happy. And yes, we will speed through the rest of this so that y'all are not bored out of your bloody minds. But it's kind of fun to watch it as speed through. And yes, next we are placing our holes in our tray. We're just going to poke 300 plus holes, one hole per hole, square hole, round peg, whatever. Y'all know what I mean. We're putting our holes in so that we are able to easily drop our seeds in, fill them over as we go so we do not lose track. Next, we are going to pop our straws in strategic locations in hopes that our saran wrap will stay up. This hope is dashed later on, which I did not record because y'all don't need to see me screaming at saran wrap in the serial killer bathroom. It is just completely unnecessary. Alright, it is time to get started with our California Giant Blend Zinnia. Obviously, this is a flower. I got it from Botanical Interests. This is an annual, so I do have to plant this every year. And of course, it's an indoor start because we are starting it indoors, yo. Our transplant date is going to be around April 27th. However, with the weather we have all been experiencing in my area, I am assuming we can probably transplant this a bit earlier than that. It does need 8 plus hours of sunlight, and its ideal temp is 70 to 75 degrees. It takes about 60 days to get to full maturity. Next, we have another flower called Cut and Come Again Zinnias. The thing about these zinnias is the more you cut them, the more flowers you get. So I thought, perfect, this is fabulous. I may have planted too many. I may plant more. We never know because I tend to go way the frack overboard. I got these ones from Botanical Interests. They do like 8 plus hours of sunlight and 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. They take about 10 days to emerge with 60 days to maturity. I can tell you right now they emerged in like 3 days. Like this entire tray did extremely well, and most things have already popped up. I did this on a Saturday. I am recording this voiceover on a Wednesday. I've lost track of my days, yo. It's a thing. Next are high scent sweet peas. These are not peas that you can eat. I would not suggest eating these. I think they're actually probably not good for you. I've never grown these before. I've never even seen these before. But from what I read, the scent of them is absolutely amazing. So they are annuals, and if I like them, that means I'm going to have to plant them every single friggin' year. If anybody knows me by now, they know that I love perennials and I like to plant it once and just have it come back all the time. These need about 6 plus hours of sunlight and they take 42 days to fully mature, but they are cold tolerant, which is a bonus in Zone 6. And y'all, this is where I messed up. I was supposed to plant 2 rows of these and I only did 1, threw off my entire tray. It took me forever to figure out where I muffed up. However, These are a Pacific Beauty Blend Calendula. Calendula is just such a beautiful flower anyway, and it has a lot of medicinal properties. This is also an annual, unfortunately, but I do not mind growing this every year. It is fine. So this will take supposedly 15 days to emerge. That did not happen. This is one of the ones that popped up in like 3 days. It will need 8 plus hours of sunlight, and it does take 56 days to get to full maturity. Its ideal temperature is between 68 and 85 degrees, and I am ninjaing a cat away from me right now. Apologies. And let's see here. It is also cold tolerant. I love these things. Did I actually do the amount of rows I was supposed to do? I don't think I did. I think I only did one because my brain was not fully functional that day. Diablo Cosmos is also a flower I have never grown before, but obviously I have a thing for reds, yellows, and oranges of all kinds. There's a lot of those happening in this tray. This is also an annual, and it needs about 10 days to emerge, 8 plus hours of sunlight. Its ideal temp is around 70 to 75 degrees, but it's a 49 days to maturity flower. So I'm hoping that maybe I can do a couple of plantings of this. I may try to direct seed some of it and see what happens. Um, just I've gotten really into flowers, yo. It's become a thing. Okay, this next one I completely bought for the name. You know I did. It's a Goblin Gaillardia. Yeah, I don't even know how to pronounce the second portion of that. But dude, it's a goblin flower. So, yeah, this is completely happening. And it's a perennial. So it will freaking come back. Yes. Woohoo! I have no idea what the ideal temp is or the days to maturity. So this flower better be magical and let me know what those things are. If anybody has ever planted these, please leave a comment down below and let me know like at what temperature they do the best so I can at least get my data updated so that if I do plant more of them, I am not just shooting in the dark here. So these have roughly like a 25 days to emerge rate. So this is the longest emergence for anything in this tray. So it's going to be around for quite a while. Who does not love a frigging French marigold? I'll tell you who absolutely loves them, other than me. All the bees. The big bumbles love them absolutely. They adore them, and they will be everywhere on this plant. So either beware or be happy. Because I found out I'm allergic to bumblebees, and I will now be planting these still, and then just being extremely freaking careful. So, the French blend marigolds are annuals. Um, they do need about 14 days to emerge, 8 plus hours of sunlight. Their ideal temp is 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and the days to maturity is 56 degrees. That was the temperature. Days to maturity is 56 days. Also, by the way, I did shut down the stand store because it was annoying me. And I will figure out a different way to like put all of the Grow Zone stuff onto Google Drive or Pinterest or something like that, and people can go there and just grab it. I think I am just determined to have like the brightest, most vivid color freaking flowers ever this year. These are lemon and tangerine gems marigold signets. So again, they will attract the bees a lot. These are an annual, so yes, you'll need to plant them every single year. It takes about 14 days for them to emerge. Their ideal temperature is 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. They need 8 plus hours of sunlight, and it's about 56 days to full maturity, but they are cold tolerant, so that is absolutely a bonus. Next up, we have, I'm going to butcher this so bad, Takanagawa burdock. I'm going to call it burdock root because that's what I've called it basically my entire life. This is a perennial. I do have some planted from last year. This is a really good medicinal herb just to have around, y'all. You dig up the root, you dry it out, and you just set it off to when you need it. This needs about 14 days to emerge and only 4 plus hours of sunlight. So if you have a place that just does not get a ton of sunlight, burdock does great there. The ideal temp is 65 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. It does take about 180 days to mature. So, good thing that this is a very cold tolerant plant. As you are about to witness, I'm going to go overboard on planting my Genovese basil because I did not get near friggin' enough last year, and I am like trying to keep that stuff like gold in my house. So I think we're doing like 6 rows or columns of Genovese basil. This is at least 70 plants, and I am overseeding these like a mofo because my seeds are older, so I want to make sure that I get a germination in every single one of these holes. This is a perennial, so it does come back every year, and even the ones that I'm going to have come back from last year are still not going to be enough. I already know this because I harvested off of them last year. They need about 10 days to emerge, and then they need about 8 plus hours of sunlight. Planting these near tomatoes is great. They do like sunlight, but they don't like extreme heat. Extreme heat will make them bolt in the shade from the tomatoes. Helps keep them a little bit cooler so that they don't start to flower, because once they flower, all the great flavor tends to just kaput and go away. They have about 45 days to maturity, but they are not cold tolerant. So once they start producing leaves and producing enough leaves, you want to start trimming those babies up so that they keep producing for you for the rest of the season. And I'm going to time lapse the rest of this because it takes a hot minute. I also love Emily basil, though I don't use it near as much as Genovese. Genovese is used in a lot of Italian dishes, whereas Emily basil has a slightly different flavor to it. So if it's your first time planting Emily basil, I would suggest that you don't plant a giant number of plants. Do this sparingly, not like I am doing in this video, because yeah, that's just not who I am as a human being. This needs about 10 days to emerge, 8 plus hours of sunlight, and it does take about 45 days to mature. And again, it is not frost tolerant. Then we have our holy Tulsi basil. This is another basil I haven't grown before, but I was watching Roots and Refuge, I believe, and she has this just everywhere. I know that there is a medicinal property for this. I also know that it is called holy Tulsi basil because of religions in India that use it. So I wanted to add this to my list of basil to try this year, and I believe it's really good for tea. So we shall see how that goes. This is an annual because it's probably not native to here. We need about 6+ hours of sunlight. Its ideal temp says 50 degrees Fahrenheit. I do not know how true that is. I looked, and that's basically what I got from all of my searching. Its days to maturity is about 45. So this is a cold tolerant basil, which is not normal. So we'll see how this one goes, y'all. So no promises on all the information I have because I have gathered it from a ton of different locations. Like I need any more invasive grass in my area, but that is not going to stop me from planting lemongrass. I love lemongrass, and it can grow wherever it freaking wants to grow because when you go to cut the grass, it literally smells like lemons. This is also really good for teas. Don't get me wrong, you can cook with it and you can drink it in teas, so it's a nice plant to have around. Plus, it just smells good. And it's not one of those decorative grasses that you can't get to go away. You can dig it up and it will go away. However, it does take 21 days to emerge roughly. It will need 6+ hours of sunlight. Its ideal temperature is 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and it does take about 80 days to mature, and it is not frost or cold tolerant at all, like in the least little bit. Next, we have marshmallow. Yes, that marshmallow. The way you originally made marshmallow. Now, there are multiple reasons I'm growing this plant. One, the flowers are absolutely just beautiful, and it's great for any type of medicinal herb garden or cottage garden. They are just somewhat dainty and pretty and just nice and fluffy and princessy, and they're awesome. It is also a perennial, so if you don't dig up the entire root, it will come back year after year. Those roots are used or are well were used to make marshmallows, and you can still make marshmallows from them without all the chemically crap. So that is my goal with planting this, other than a medicinal herb, is I want to make real marshmallows, and I just want to see what it would be like to make a real marshmallow. This plant takes about 21 days to emerge. It needs 8+ hours of sunlight, and it has 90 days to maturity. Its ideal temp is about 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So what I've noticed when it has like a lower ideal temp is that if you give it a bit more shade than what it needs in those really, really hot parts of summer, it will survive and do fairly well. And yes, I'm just dumping the rest of the seeds out because I didn't have enough to save. And they're super friggin' tiny, yo. So yes, more things that smell like lemon. Lemon balm is actually a great medicinal herb to keep around the house, and you can also cook with it. Anything that is medicinal tends to be okay to cook with. There are always warnings about not overdoing anything, so don't overdo it. A thing to keep in mind, however, is lemon balm is part of the mint family, which means it is excessively invasive. So, given the right conditions, it can take over just about anything. So, be prepared that you may want to grow this in a pot. I am growing it in the ground because I have like this little passageway between my house and my garage where only minty things grow. Parts of the mint family grow there, and that's it. That's the only thing invasive enough to just take over that area. Alright, so this is a perennial, part of why it's invasive, and it's the mint family. And it needs about 14 days to emerge, 8+ hours of sunlight. Its ideal temp is 50 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's about 90 days to maturity. And it is cold tolerant, and again, when you cut it down, it totally smells like lemons, and it's fabulous. Way better than the smell of grass, which is basically the grass screaming at you that you're killing it. since I sifted my dirt, what I've learned from tray to tray to tray is that I do need to put a top layer of that same sifted compost on top. It just makes my life simpler because once I put water all over these, it's going to sink down. And I could tell how fluffy it was when I was putting the seeds in it. So we're going to continue to top off this tray and get it ready to go down into the grow room. I know this has been a super long video. Y'all should know that it takes like 4 hours to plant one of these trays. It's absolutely insane. If you all made it this far, thank you so much. Obviously, if you've made it this far, if you're not subscribed, please do so. I would highly, highly appreciate it.